out of all the top 10 lists I have done, this one was the hardest to put together. I was lucky enough to meet my best friend the first night of college 4 years ago, and ever since, we have been inseparable. Although we're in different states now, we've been lucky enough to have watched countless movies together and enjoying theater experiences that I will never forget. Happy birthday, dude. This list is for you. Let's start with the honorable mentions. I know what you're thinking, Chris. I know Black Panther didn't meet any of our expectations, but you cannot forget the electric experience of seeing that in the theater. We went in skeptical over the critics overstating how this was the greatest Marvel movie to date. We settled into our seats and unexpectedly, the Black Panther trailer played. Weird, right? That never happens before the actual screening of the film, but we laughed it off. Then Hugh Jackman and the director of The Greatest Showman popped up on screen, and I glanced over at Chris knowing damn well they screwed up the reel, and we were about to watch The Greatest Showman. I knew how it started as I had seen The Greatest Showman a couple weeks before. Next thing we know, Hugh Jackman starts singing, and everyone in the theater just started getting so pissed off. Luckily, they realized the error and quickly changed the screening to Black Panther. Buying that hiccup before definitely affected our opinion of the film. Good times. A Star is Born is one of those films that hit us both so hard that we haven't seen it since. It was a great film and made us both cry, but that ending was too much to bear, and I have still not seen it. Another film that you're probably thinking, what the fuck? Justice League was a movie we were both excited for, but we lowered our expectations because of the amount of color corrections we noticed in the trailers leading up to its release. However, we were not prepared for how shitty it actually was. It was still memorable because we saw this right before our first winter break, and after leaving the movie, our friends Melissa and Savannah commented, "Wow, that was really good," and you and I looked at each other laughing, thinking, "You guys are blind." Luckily, we got Zack Snyder's Justice League cut, and that has fulfilled that hole that has been left in me since this watch. I look back fondly on this because it wasn't a film at all. It was a full-blown experience, and it was this movie where we realized Nick Cage was a god. Just thought I'd add this here just to get you riled up. We hated this movie more than anything. And that's all I have to say about that. I don't even want to waste my time talking about this. Now on to the top 10. A movie that I have loved since I was a kid. One of the first movies I have ever bought on DVD. And a movie that I have grown to love more because we both get a kick out of it. Tropic Thunder is number 10 because we didn't see this together when it first came out. But we spent many days and nights quoting this film and rewatching key scenes. I can never watch this movie now without it reminding me of you quoting Robert Downey Jr.
It's like the pineapple.
Give me that goddamn map. Fuck you.
Hey!
All right now. What it is, Sikorsky? Tell us where we really at.
Fucking bullshit. It's a chump move.
We just getting a second opinion, Doc.
We're going the wrong way. Damn.
Son of a bitch.
God.
The Hate U Give is probably a movie you, the viewer, does not remember, or even you, Chris, but it was a memorable movie theater experience for me. Both of us were not prepared for the emotional weight of this film, especially me. Chris will gladly tell you guys how I cried like a baby, sobbed in my seat at the end of this film. I was lucky enough to see it again at SCAD's Film Festival and see Amanda Stenberg speak about it, but given the emotional toll I had experienced, I can't bring myself to watch it again. Speaking of the SCAD Film Festival, Chris and I were lucky enough to see the premiere of Spike Lee's BlacKkKlansman and get introduced to John David Washington before he was a huge movie star that he is today. It was a thrilling experience in the film festival setting, having the opportunity to see John David Washington speak at the end. I know it was as meaningful for you as it was for me. We were so lucky that year, how many celebrities we met. A special movie for one reason and one reason only. A Quiet Place is a horror film. I hate horror movies. I just don't like getting scared, and Chris will second that. he will let you know how much I hate these kind of movies. The fact that I got my ass off the couch to go see this in theaters was a miracle of its own accord, but to acknowledge that it was amazing is another achievement. A Quiet Place was magical to see in theaters. To see a film almost entirely in silence, it was nothing we had seen before, and that ending scene killed me. Not as much for you, but I know it killed me. I'm glad to have seen my first horror movie in theaters with you. Our first IMAX screening together, Thor Ragnarok was one of the most extraordinary films to witness on the big screen. The colors, the cinematography, the music, the acting, both of us were not prepared for how good this Marvel movie would be. The theater was huge, but there was only a handful of people there. I just remember you and I jumping out of our seats when he got the power of lightning at the end. Me up with that goodness. Like Tropic Thunder, Scott Pilgrim is a movie we have rewatched constantly. Probably the film we have seen the most together, and it's all because of that one night in Florida. Chris and I would take weekends away sometimes to go visit my grandma, and whenever we were there, we'd browse for movies to watch at night. For some reason, we clicked on Scott Pilgrim, not really remembering the premise because we both hadn't seen it for years, and rewatching it, we were in awe of how brilliant it was. Scott Pilgrim is a perfect film, in my opinion. It might just be my favorite film of all time, all because we just happened to scroll past it that night on the TV guide, graced by its ingenuity and humor. It's another film that I cannot watch without thinking about you, my man. Another SCAD Film Festival screening. I was anticipating Honey Boy for months leading up to its release. Chris wasn't as excited, but I convinced him to come view it with me. It was my most anticipated movie of that year, and by the end, we were both in tears. I loved Honey Boy. Yes, I know I have many favorite films, but Honey Boy is so beautiful and personal to me that I will always hold it close to my heart. The most memorable part of that night is Chris and I walking back to our dorms with tears in our eyes, and he just started bawling out of nowhere. I remember asking you, what is up with you, man? And you were just like, it was just so good. Now go watch it with Taylor. What a throwback. Stronger is a movie that a lot of people brushed off in 2017, but Chris and I decided to go see it in theaters because we both love Jake Gyllenhaal. Why is it number 3? Ahead of Tropic Thunder? Ahead of Scott Pilgrim? My favorite movie, Honey Boy? That is because Stronger was the first movie Chris and I went to go see in theaters, and I'm pretty sure it's the first movie we ever saw together. It broke us in half at how emotional the film was, but it also sparked that love for seeing the movies in theaters. This was the start of it all, and it will not be the end. Leading up to Infinity War, Chris and I watched every MCU movie that week before it dropped. 2 to 3 movies a night. We were so hyped for this movie, it wasn't even a thought in either of our heads that Thanos would win at the end of that movie. Chris knows that I wanted that more than anything, and the fact that we got it was the best movie twist ever. People in our theater were like, what the fuck? This is complete bullshit. While Chris and I just basked in the monumental MCU moment. That was also a memorable weekend because the next day my family came down to SCAD and we saw it that next night with my brother, and Post Malone's album dropped and I got a tattoo that weekend. One of my favorite weekends that I had spent with you. Until this day, it is my favorite Marvel film. And I can't believe it's been 4 years since that movie dropped. So besides having that awesome weekend with Infinity War, and it also adding up to be my favorite MCU movie, Nothing beats the theater experience of Avengers Endgame. From the moment Infinity War ended and it stated Thanos will return, Chris and I were counting the days for Endgame. Little did we know what we would be in store for. Endgame is the epitome of an unforgettable theater experience. I will never forget that night. To sit in a theater with people who spent as many years as we did loving these characters and scream at the parts we love just fills me with joy now thinking about it. Nothing will ever compare to that moment when Captain America summons Thor's hammer.
I knew it.
Nothing will ever compare to seeing Black Widow sacrifice herself to save the day.
He's no.
It's okay.
Please.
Nothing will ever compare to Cap saying Avengers Assemble.
Avengers! Assemble.
I sobbed when that happened. When I say I sobbed at the end of The Hate You Give, triple that response. I vividly remember turning to my then girlfriend, who was in shock at me crying this hard, and I just said, I'm just so happy. Fuck, I'm tearing up right now. Nothing will ever beat that moment of happiness, and to have shared that with you makes it 10 times better. I'm so grateful to have a friend like you, Chris. You're my brother, and I couldn't have been luckier to meet you that first night at college. Can't wait to see what our future holds. I love you, dude. I'm with you till the end of the line.
Finish it. Because I'm with you to the end of the line.
I'm with you to the end of the line, pal.
Tune in every Friday for new movie videos. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below what other movies you would like me to do videos on. Thank you, Mom, for editing the scripts for my movie essays. I appreciate you. Till next time, thanks for watching. Catch you on the flip side.